Hi everyone, this is Heba from My Little Journal, and today I'm going to be sharing my new Canvo planner from Catherine Pooler. I'm so excited about this. I've been watching videos nonstop about this planner. It is gorgeous. The paper is so thick and lovely. It takes up stamping, ink pads, watercolor, all that good stuff. It's dotted, which makes it so easy to kind of bullet journal and things like that. Now, you guys know I don't do bullet journaling. It's a lot of work for me, but what I wanted was a reading journal. I have a small reading journal. I usually just add my reading to the end of my daily journal, but I really wanted to start a separate reading journal. I know it's July, it's pretty late throughout the year, but I always say it's not too late to start a new project, honestly. So what I'm going to end up doing is using this for my reading journal. And I actually started with a pencil just to kind of outline how I wanted to use it. So I know this first spread is going to be kind of my intro, kind of probably stamp out reading and add a few stamps here and there or doodles. And then I'm going to do a bookshelf and my reading goals, things like that. I'm going to be using a lot of my new Catherine Pooler stuff or products. I have the acrylic block, this round one, which is pretty neat. I've been using scrapbook.coms and I thought the bigger one is going to be as awesome. I got some ink pads as well. Can't wait to use them. I've heard great things about it. Some stamp sets. This one's the July one, which is going to be fun to use for July. And then you have like basics with the days of the week, some coffee, an airplane, some doodles that you can add. And also, I'm really loving this clipboard. I'm going to try to figure out how to use that in my reading journal. It's probably going to be a good one to kind of use as monthly and probably I don't know, write out what I read for the month, maybe. Let's see. And then you have like more coffee cups, little speech bubbles. Love that. I actually am thinking of using those in my journal today. Let's see. And a stencil, which is really cool. It has different size squares and rectangles, even some speech bubbles. I love this. This would be really cool to use as my calendar. So let's see how I'm going to use all of these products, maybe some of them, all of them, not sure yet. But I just thought it would be fun to kind of share with you guys how I'm going to end up using my new Canvo planner for my reading journal. And I don't know, and I thought maybe you would be interested in seeing a video like that. So I'm going to speed this up and share with you how my first few pages turn out. Okay guys, let's start. So I'm going to start with my intro page. I decided to go through my alpha stamps and find some large alphas to stamp out read. And I'll also grab my scrapbook.com big date stamp to stamp out 2019. Now I knew I wanted to keep my spreads simple. I'm a beginner, so I don't want to overwhelm myself. So I decided to just use my stamps. I do doodle, but you know, I just felt like I have all these stamps. I think it would be cool to use them to add a little something to my spreads. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. Now, in one of the stamp sets from Catherine Pooler, I believe it's the Oh My, It's July stamp set. There's a little jar and you can add your own fireflies or stars. I thought it would be pretty cool to use it to add like randomly to my intro page. So I stamp it with some black ink. I go back in and I'm thinking I'm going to stamp the yellow stars in the center. Now, what I didn't notice was in that stamp set, you had the stars, you had the outline and the inline, and I didn't know that. So I end up stamping it with yellow, which was the outline, and call it done and all that good stuff. But later I discovered that, oh, hold on, there's a outline and inline. So I do go back in and fix that and stamp the outline in black and the inline in yellow. So it looks really cool once I fixed it, but it still looked cool even if you just wanted to stamp the outline in yellow. But I just like that touch of the black inside my jars. But I will use that. You'll see the difference at the end of this video because I will be adding some photos. And a lot of these spreads that I create to make this process faster and my video not to be too long, I don't fill out every little single thing, but you'll get to see all the spreads done at the end of this video with some photos. To finish up my spread, I decided to use this cluster of stars and stamp it randomly around my jars just to bring in more of that yellow. And don't forget, I'm going to add the end results photos at the end of this video. And the jars look so much better once I fix the stars that go in the jar. But anyways, we're moving on to my next spread. Now, I've watched a lot of bullet journalers. I love bullet journaling, not for myself, but for others. And a lot of them do a shelf full of books. And I thought I want that too. So what I did was with my pencil, I kind of created a bookshelf. You can't really see it, but you'll see it at the end once I go over it with a pen. And I grabbed my themed book stamps. This was the great opportunity to use them. I'm going to stamp out a bunch of books on these shelves. I'll break it down a little bit. I'll add some pots and plants, and I'll even stamp one of the jars that I stamped in my intro page, just to kind of break it down, make it look kind of cool looking. By the way, I did want to apologize about the headshots. I just wanted to make sure that I'm stamping on a straight line, so it was really hard not to get my head in the screen, so I apologize about that. But anyways, I'm going to stamp out a bunch of books, and then I'll fill out the books that I've read. So as many as if I've read 10 books, I'm going to fill out 10 books. And that way I have books already stamped out for me. So every time I read a book, all I have to do is grab the filler stamp and fill it out. Or I could even use some of my Tombow markers or whatever the case is, any kind of marker, and fill out a book to represent me reading that book. I also wanted to mention that if you are not big on doodling, or you're not an artist and you don't know how to draw, whatever the case is, use your stamps. This is a great opportunity to use your stamps, and you don't have to put all that effort in it. I mean, if you were going to draw these bookshelves and the books, I would have to grab a pencil, draw it all out, take the time, then fill it out with pen and color it in. But just using your stamps, I just have to ink it up and stamp it, and I'm good to go. And I'll always have the perfect book, the perfect look. I just love my stamps, and I always recommend that you guys use them, especially if you are not a doodler or an artist. So go for it. Just use your stamps to make your spreads look beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling out some of my books with some blue ink, green ink, yellow. This, like I said, is going to represent how many books I read throughout the year. And I didn't want this video to be too long, so I end up not filling all of them out. But like I said, you'll get to see the end results at the end of this video. But you can see that it came together so easily, and I'm a beginner, you guys, and I really love how my spreads are turning out, especially right after I go over my shelves with a pen and ruler. It just looks amazing, and I definitely recommend that you go for it. Don't be afraid to start. You can use this as your reading journal, as your planner, a bullet journal, whatever the case is. Just go for it. Try it. It's just paper. It's okay if it doesn't work out. You can always tear it out and start over, or go over it with paint, or I don't know, just figure out a way. I recommend you try. I mean, I was always afraid of doing something like this, but I'm so happy that I tried it out. Now I'm moving on to my next spread, which is going to be my Goodreads challenge. I thought I would use the light bulb from that same stamp set from Catherine Pooler, the Oh My, It's July. And I'm going to stamp the light bulbs randomly. I'll even stamp it on some white cardstock to help me mask off some of them. And I really didn't think this through. I knew I wanted the title to be Goodreads and have these light bulbs kind of hanging from the ceiling, and fill out one of the light bulbs with the buildable light bulb from that stamp set to represent every challenge I finish. So once I'm done with it, and I did have some boo-boos, by the way, some of the lines were crooked once I grabbed my ruler and pen, and some of the areas just didn't work for me, but it's okay. Like I said, it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just go over them, try to figure out a way to fix it. Even my title, when I stamp out Goodreads, I noticed it wasn't centered, so I'll even try to fix that up by adding some books, stamped books, to one side of my title to kind of balance it out a little bit. So just go for it, no big deal. This is where I'm filling out some of the light bulbs to represent the challenges I finished throughout this year. And then I'm going to grab some alpha stamps and stamp out Goodreads as my title. So you can see here that my title is not like in the center. So I grabbed some books and I'm stamping them on the side. I mean, it's not the best solution, but it's okay. And I also felt like the left side was missing a light bulb. So I go back and grab a light bulb, fill that space up, and I think it looks so much better. And I forgot that I actually finished 5 challenges. So I'm gonna grab the little light bulb and fill that out as well. Now we're moving on. I decided to create a TBR. So what I'm going to do is use the stencil from Catherine Pooler and use my ink pad and my dauber and fill out the stencil to have, I don't know, give some color to my title. And it just turned out so cool. I love it. Love that yellow mustardy look. So I go ahead, fill that out. I'm going to grab some of my alpha stamps and stamp out TBR. I'll also grab a corner stamp from the Put a Pin in It stamp set from Catherine Pooler. She has these corner stamps, and one of them is like little bubbles, which looks really, really cool. So I'm going to end up stamping that on both corners just to add a little something to my title. Now, before I started, again, I had created a box for my TBR. So I'm just going to end up adding, like, number it from 1 to, I think it ends up being like 34, 35. And then I'm going to grab my ruler and pen, go over my pencil marks, and this is going to end up being my TBR. What I do with my TBR is once I finish a book, I'll highlight it to kind of represent that I've already read it and try to read the ones that are not highlighted. To make my title more interesting, I grabbed, again, the Put a Pin in It stamp set. It had like these little speech bubbles with hearts and question marks. I thought it would look cute to add around my title, and it made sense with my TBR list. So I'm just going to end up stamping those around my title. This spread was so simple, so easy, but yet so adorable. And again, I'll be adding some photos at the end of the video for you guys to see how it ends up looking. But I'm finishing up my video by creating my monthly spreads. Because I'm really behind, I want to move whatever's in my reading journal into my Canvo. I decided to keep my monthly spreads simple. I stamped out January. I'm using the stencil for the calendar with yellow, and I'm going to use some of my own stamps to fill out the calendar and stamp 2019. Finish it all up by using that like corner stamp that I was bragging about a few minutes ago with the circles. And I'm just going to end up stamping it at the top corner and the bottom corner and call my layout done. I love how this turned out. After I was done with this video, I kept working. I finished up all the way to December, and now I'm going to start moving all that info into my Canvo, everything I read. I'm loving it. Definitely recommend it. Don't forget, I always add all the links for everything I use down in the description box. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.